Hello everybody, I hope you're all having a good break, getting some holiday during this summer. Today's podcast is really looking at the whole issue of ADHD. What do we mean by ADHD? Well, the experts tell us that it means attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. During this podcast, I want to really explain what I mean by that condition. And there are three types of people struggling with ADHD. And many young people, particularly, as well as adults, are living in a society where they feel they're pressurized to live a particular lifestyle that they're struggling with because of this condition that they are experiencing. For example, you might be a young person in school and you're expected to be able to learn and behave like the majority of people expect you to. And very little consideration is given to help you look at your difficulties and why you are struggling. So many of you feel very marginalised, neglected, and very isolated as a person, because what you're struggling with is not often obvious to other people. So, what are the types of ADHD that people struggle with? One of the types is what we call hyperactivity. It means many people are fidgeting, they're not able to be still, they're very overactive, always on the go. They struggle to focus on things, often answering questions before somebody has completed a sentence. They feel that they have to continually talk because they're struggling with a lot of anxiety and difficult emotions. And they struggle to set some very positive boundaries for their lives as a result of struggling with this condition. And their way of coping to have their needs met is often by being very negative in their behaviour, by being perhaps aggressive and also extrovert in terms of shouting and not being able to control their feelings. Also, people struggle with having a very poor memory. Long-term memory is very difficult, as well as short-term memory. And they often lose things, they don't know where they put things. And they often look for some release from the ADHD condition in places where they can act out to reduce a lot of the anxiety that's associated with the ADHD. So in other words, it's like a cry for help. And they often struggle with their breathing, because it's due to the fear and the anxiety that they're experiencing. They're not able to calm down, they're not able to be focused, and they're not able to pay attention to what's going on at the time. And then we have something called impulsivity. That's another type of this ADHD condition. It means often failing to give attention to detail and making careless mistakes, trouble in keeping attention on tasks that require quite a lot of effort, poor listening skills. For example, if you're not interested in a particular subject, then you don't really want to listen to it. You may have difficulty organising a task or an activity because you're easily distracted because you're struggling to focus. And then there's the whole thing around daydreaming. You may find that you daydream because it's a way to escape from your current circumstances that you're feeling overwhelmed about. But also daydreaming can be a positive thing for many people, many who don't have ADHD, who want to look at planning and setting goals for their life. But for those who are suffering with ADHD, they often feel they need to escape from their current situation that may be quite stressful and pressurizing. And then there are those of you who you may say, well, I've got a combined lot of ADHD. I struggle with hyperactivity and impulsivity. So because you experience both of these, you can have a combination of a range of symptoms associated with both of these conditions that I've mentioned. So we now look at associated problems connected with the ADHD. Well, obviously anxiety is something that's very much part of people who struggle with their ADHD condition. They may be depressed quite a lot, and they may suffer with what's called Tourette's syndrome and tics, where they are triggered by stressful situations to behave in a way that they really don't want to behave, which causes them to have negative feedback from other people. People often struggle with what's called a lot of their emotional problems that affects their low self-confidence and self-esteem, and they become very over-aggressive, wanting attention maybe. It's really, as I said before, trying to help people to recognise that they need to be understood. And those who have ADHD and are autistic often have poor attention skills as well. You may be suffering with learning problems in terms of this condition, that you struggle to be understood, you struggle to with the learning that the school or the university or the college are actually asking you to learn, and you have your own way of learning which they don't understand, and you need them to sit down and understand and recognise what can help you. So that is important, to get that support from an education establishment. And you may be suffering with sleep problems as a result of your ADHD condition. Some people struggle to get to sleep because their mind is full of information and they feel very hyperactive. Also, some of your relationships with other people suffer because you're not understood, and often people won't give you the time to listen to you. So next we look at what causes ADHD. Well, sometimes it's through the family, that some of your family have suffered with ADHD and you find yourself struggling with it as a condition. Some of the experts tell us it's in our genes, but there's still a lot of ongoing research around whether that's true for everybody. And you may be struggling to organise and prioritise tasks in your daily life. You lack the motivation, you have difficulty managing your emotions, and you get easily frustrated with what's going on around you. And you have difficulty maybe in controlling your speech and behaviour. This is not true for everyone, but for some of you this may be true, and you do need support, and you do need professional help to help you work through these issues. And you may be feeling often overwhelmed by life's experiences. And maybe that's because you live in a family where there's a lot of stress, or maybe at school there's a lot of stress, so it's not a positive environment where you feel you can really be understood and learn. And maybe other things like your parents have broken up, or you've lost a parent, or you're in a family where there's a lot of domestic violence. That can all create problems and not help your struggles with this condition of ADHD. And sometimes people turn to drugs to try and get some sort of relief from this condition. And then also they might get into crime, and antisocial behaviour because they can't cope with the world and they can't cope with how they're being treated by other people. So the long-term consequences of ADHD often means that you can develop very poor self-esteem in terms of not being able to be very confident throughout your life. You can end up having struggles with your education or getting a job or possibly getting into crime, as I've said, because you can't cope in daily life, and also have extreme mood swings and anxiety problems, because we know anxiety is very much part of a lot of ADHD sufferers. And in school, college or work, you may be very misunderstood, as I've said, and labelled as being very lazy, not really engaged in what's going on, not motivated, and often treated as a troublemaker. And some of you get punished for this, blamed for your behaviour that you have little control over. And you feel quite isolated because, as I said, you don't have many friends because you feel often socially rejected or demoralised or not understood or not taken seriously by other people when you try and express to them what's going on for you. And that's a very, very sad place to be. I just briefly want to mention medication. Medication can help, but it doesn't deal with the root causes of ADHD. It just probably makes it a little less severe, but it also can give you some side effects. So when you talk to your GP about medication, it's important to look at some of the side effects. So how do you get a support plan for those of you who are struggling with this condition of ADHD? A support plan is very important to help you cope with life and try and improve life with your ADHD. So your support plan should take into consideration your childhood history, what your strengths are as a person, and the needs and responsibilities that you have at home, school, work, and in other parts of your life. And it needs to help you build your independence as a human being, help you become the person that you are, help you to develop friendships more positively, keep friendships, and be able to feel that you're understood and that you can trust people. Help you to make some positive adjustments in your life to school or work with the support around the learning that you're expected to do. And to help you to study at home. And as I've said, the medication to help you improve focus and attention in your life. So here are some strategies that might work for you. Have you thought about making a weekly or a monthly planner that shows when work or assignments are due and what tasks need to be done? Build some rest breaks into your daily life, into your homework or study activities. In other words, break up some of your learning tasks like reading or homework with short physical activity sessions to get some exercise. This will help you cope with this work-life balance that's important for you. Because a healthy lifestyle is an important part of our development and well-being as human beings. It's good for us to get at least 8 to 10 hours sleep each night, make healthy food choices in our lives, and balance any time that we're on social media or using television with other activities. Learning to be independent is about trying new things, taking on more responsibility, and making decisions by yourself instead of having to expect others to make them for you. And working out who you are and what kind of person you want to be. And those kind of things you might need help from a professional, maybe a counsellor. But that's the kind of areas that you need to be working towards. So how do you develop some of your independence? Well, work on what we call your goals for home, school, friendship, activities, work. For example, you might have goals like finishing homework or getting shopping before you have your dinner with your family, or replying to messages from friends. Think about how to get motivated and work towards these goals. Make sure you're involved in any family rules, and this can help you to become understood, heard, and valued as a human being. And if these rules are broken, then ask, how can you be further involved in helping these rules to work? Because if you're struggling with this condition of ADHD, it's important that the family support you as much as possible and that they understand what rules can be helpful to you as you're growing up in that family. And even if you have a partner you're living with, the same rules need to apply. Also, work at building your organisational skills. For example, work at developing daily routines in your life for things like bedtime, chores and homework, because this can make it easier for you to complete activities and to cope with your condition easily. And you need some praise and affirmation from other people as you become more independent as a person and as you are striving to achieve your tasks, because that will help you, it will encourage you, and it will empower you as a human being. And when we look at the whole area of building and keeping friendships, how about trying to be part of a social group or activity like a team sport, gaming group, martial arts or drama? This can be a way to meet people with shared interests, and also structured activities with routines and rules can also help you feel confident. And if you're a creative person, that will also help you to calm yourself down. Calming activities can help you with this ADHD condition. And it's important, isn't it, to show interest in other people, not just to be focused on ourselves, even though you may be struggling in life with this condition in a number of ways. Perhaps set phone alerts for yourself to help remember friends' birthdays. Or you could get someone to remind you to regularly contact a friend. All this is looking and getting the support from other people. Learn to recognise your strong emotions that you're experiencing in living with this condition and finding ways to help you calm down. Maybe, for example, if you feel criticised or rejected or misunderstood by a friend, try going for a walk, listen to some calm music, or do some breathing exercises. Encourage yourself to use perhaps a problem-solving strategy. If you have a challenging situation, like a misunderstanding or some conflict with a friend, you might want to look at a plan of how you're going to further, at a later date, talk to that friend face to face about what went wrong and how you can both learn from this. So finally, the summary that I want to leave with you is, how can you help yourself moving forward? The important issues are, have a plan and a structure to your day and week. This needs to be very consistent. It needs to be long term. Your rules that help you need to be very clear and easily understood by you. They need to be very fair and also not too many of them, so that you're able to follow them easily. You need people to listen to you who've got some patience. And what I mean is give you time and in a safe place where you feel you're not going to be distracted and you're going to be able to have their full attention. And again, it might be that you need some professional help around this area. As I've mentioned before, mindfulness is very important because it's about relaxing the body, the mind and the spirit. Activities that are calming and soothing for you. Maybe martial arts can be helpful. A lot of people have told me that they found that very helpful. Focusing on your strengths to build up your self-esteem a bit more. And we've all got strengths. Some of us don't realise what they are. So maybe it's about asking those people close to you. Remember, ADHD is not just your lifestyle. It's just a small part of your lifestyle. It's something that you are having to live with, but it also helps you to recognise perhaps what your strengths are, to challenge you in building your self-esteem, and also develop resilience. That's quite important. In other words, ability to have that inner strength not to give up with the condition you're struggling with. So remember, I have, I can, I am in terms of your attitude to this condition. I hope this podcast has been a help to some of you. There is a lot more about the condition of ADHD that I've probably not mentioned today, but I've tried to skim over the main areas. And those of you who are continuing to struggle with this, maybe seeing a professional like a counsellor might help you a lot more with some of these issues. I hope you have a good summer, and if you're able to have a holiday, able to have a complete break, and I hope to talk to you again soon. Bye for now.